I miss if you want to share your screen and share an MR or
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, let me share this whole thing and I'll also pop the MR over into Discord. Alrighty. So basically, I've had this open for a while. There's just one missing test for an n+1 query that I think has been introduced, but fixed, but I need a test that shows that it's fixed. So I'm having trouble getting the test to fail before I get it to pass. So originally it's for pipeline builds. So it's actually, yeah, the build is what causes the n+1 problem. And originally it was, I had put the test in the stage spec, but we're moving it to the pipeline serializer because that makes more sense. And that's where it's actually going to be um, called. So I have a few suggestions from my reviewer here that I've taken into account, and I'll show you what I've done here. So I moved, this is the piece of code that creates the n+1. So the builds.any um, being playable. And that manual playable is called here inside of the stage play manual. Um, the pipeline serializer, this is where I had added this line here in order to mitigate the n+1 query and preload some of the relations. So theoretically, if I revert my changes in this file and then I write a test for the pipeline serializer for the n+1, it should fail first. And then when I put my
yeah,
changes back, it should pass.
got it.
But I it is passing regardless, and I'm not sure if I've set things up properly. So we wanted to have a test with all non-playable builds. So for example, if all the builds are skipped, then the play all button shouldn't show on a pipeline, on a stage for a pipeline. So I was going to make them all skipped, and then also I need to add bridges as well. But first I was starting with just the builds. Um,
Hmm.
Making them all skipped in a fresh pipeline because there was other pipelines created in this file for testing, but they had playable jobs. So fresh pipeline, only skipped jobs. This control returns 195 queries. So I would
Wow, yeah.
expect this to return also 195, but it returns zero. So then I wrote this test. And of course that passes because 100 zero is less than 195.
Okay.
I wonder why that's returning zero.
I thought it might be because subject wasn't properly calling the query again.
Like it's cached.
Something like
You
that. Like
could,
it's either cached or I didn't force call it.
There are a couple of different mechanics, I think, for like clearing. Ah, so there you've already got skip cached bulbs. I wonder if you set that to um controllers active. Yeah. I wonder if you set that to true, how it would behave. But then this is, do you say this is buff like on the master branch essentially as well? This is without your fix
This
or
is
with
with
your
the fix, but I
fix?
can
Okay.
take out my fix. So this is how master should look. So it has the stages here. It doesn't have the metadata that I cached. And then it has this to do reminding me to
Okay.
revert that. Okay, so if I run this now,
Silly sort of personal preference question while we're waiting for these tests to run. Um, do you have like a specific reasons why you like to run the specs like in a separate terminal?
that's a great question. I just like using iTerm too because I feel it's a more powerful terminal and you can have more history to it. So you can set it to have to always remember like forever scroll all the way back up, whereas some terminals cap you at like 200 lines or something.
Cool.
Yeah, have
Maybe,
you run them, Lee?
w-
If not in the
I
terminal.
just
yeah.
just run them in the terminal inside of VS Code.
VS
I
Code.
I
Oh,
think
VS Code. Yeah.
I think it very much goes down to like I don't know how far back your history goes with Linux or Mac or whatever it might be, Missy, but because I'm a Windows user, I'm not. I
Oh,
don't have the pretty stuff like people that use Fish and my ZSH and all the different sort of bells and whistles. I have quite a boring, bland terminal, so I think that's probably a big part of the reason. Okay, so it passed, but we didn't really get to see anything. What do you think is the best thing to do? Put like a binding pry at the end, or use some puts, or is it something so that we can actually see if it's
a little
still
while
doing that
period.
0 thing, or if it's behaving differently?
We could do, yeah, I think a bybug there probably makes sense.
Also, I've personally not used that issue same number of queries as. I'm sure that probably does behave in the same way, but I might jump into a spec in a minute where I think I've been a bit more manual. It looks like this is probably the documented way to do it. But I've
This is just what my reviewer had
gotcha.
mentioned was
Yeah,
his preferred way.
yeah.
So I was giving it a shot, but yeah,
No, that makes sense.
could
Mm.
also do another method if that was better.
I think my method that I've used before is probably just I don't know, I'm going to say the verbose way of doing the same thing. That looks like it's sort of an alias for what I probably have done in the past.
Okay.
Could it be
Okay, so
that
now we're getting
the
37.
represent method of the serializer is caching the queries? If, for example, you have memorize or stuff like that.
I definitely think caching's a potential option. So can you, I guess, just run that same query, active record, query recorder, new subject, like just copy and paste essentially? Yeah. I guess we need to store it in a variable so we can then do a count for that as well. Still 0. Interesting.
But the original one was 37.
Yeah, so I think skipped cache is doing something different to what I thought it would do. I think what
Oh,
I thought it was meant was don't cache things, but I think what it actually means is don't count cached queries. So that count
okay.
is only queries that weren't already like cached, or data that wasn't already cached. Let's have a look at yeah, I'm wondering if you can maybe just grep for that active record query recorder. I'm hoping that we'll find an instance that does something where it specifically like drops or clears the cache or cleans the cache or something. I mean, we can sort of join forces and do this on our machines at the same time, I'm sure. But I had a feeling in the past I'd had to kind of make the call, but then because that call then caches a load of stuff, I suppose skip cache. Yeah, I don't know. Let's have a look.
Mm.
I think where I've
Yeah,
done
if you
it.
just do skip cache false. Let's see.
See any of that are doing. I'm sure that's what I've.
There's a bunch of preload stuff on the represent method of the pipeline serializer.
Oh, Where do you see that?
On the pipeline serializer file, there's the represent method. That's basically your subject. And there's a bunch of
Oh,
preload.
this.
So I wonder if that has something to do with the queries, not
That should
running the second time.
that that should not preload the thing that I changed.
I can't see like how there's like, yeah, I can't see how it could possibly be 0, if that makes sense, because you've run a query, you've then added some new items, and then you're running the same query. Those previous items cannot possibly already be cached, right?
Yeah.
um,
But you're using no, you're calling subject 2 times, so it's using a new pipeline serializer each time.
oh yeah, can you show us the definition of subject just to make sure it is doing what we imagine it's doing?
Yes. Should
Serial.
be this one.
Yeah.
Do you
Represent.
think so? Let serializer subject. So, showing my Ruby naiveness here. So that would new up a new pipeline serializer for each test.
Yeah.
I don't know though. After you call subject once, I do wonder if it, because let
The
wouldn't.
same.
Yeah, I don't know if it would make any difference, but I'd almost be tempted to, like
Call the
copy line
serializer.
10. Yeah, maybe new up a new serializer. So copy what you've got on line 10. Um,
Oh,
so
this.
actually new up an entirely new, yeah, instance of that. And I don't think this is going to make any difference, but it's worth just trying it.
Right.
So yeah, then instead of calling subject a second time, in fact, you've still got the BuyBug open, I think. So you might even be able to.
Oh,
So
just
you're
do it
going
in
to
here.
have to go. Well, yeah, if you go up a few entries, though, you should have your Missy equals active whatever. So I would,
Mm.
if you just press up a couple of times, it should go back to that previous that one. So replace subject
Oh,
with what you've got on the clipboard, and then you want dot present. Is it? You might need to check that,
Represent.
and
You
then
also need to
pass it.
change described class to.
No, that should
No,
understand. I
it should
think.
pick
Oh
it
no, it's
up.
still in the context, isn't it? Sorry, yeah, I thought it was
Yeah,
just a dumb
I
shell.
think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, if you try running that and just see if that makes any difference. Probably not, but
wait, do you think it's the resource? I'm not passing in the right pipeline?
oh, possibly. Is you're not actually defining resource.
Or, oh no, I guess it's this resource pipeline all. That's defined
Yes.
within my.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see what that happened.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's 33.
Okay, so it's good that it's not 0. It's weird that it's
But
less than.
this means that the subject is using the same serializer twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
But
wonder if the same serializer called twice with the same resource changed. It's not doing new queries because the resource is the same, even though the inner resources change it.
that's a good point as well. Okay, so yeah, if you go back to your terminal again and press up and replace resource. That's it. Replace resource with what was it like? CI build all or whatever.
Oh yeah, the CI pipeline dot all. I think where did that go? This. Oh,
I honestly can't understand what on earth. That's so random. How can it be one?
What can you go up to the command you ran again in the terminal? Are you doing
Yeah.
skip cache true still, or
Yeah.
yes.
should I try skip cache false? Actually, if you run that again, do you get the same count?
Let's see. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So then, yeah, if you change that true to false, does that change anything?
Sounds good. Yeah, good idea, Andrew. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Okay, 191.
And
What?
now, no, that's good. That's good. Okay, so now, do you want to actually put that in, whether it's a puts or whatever, however you want to do it? But let's yeah, kind of use that, pop it into the test, and we'll try before you put your preload in and after, and see what difference that has. Now, I think we're heading in the right direction.
So just throw it like here.
Yeah, maybe do what you did before, like Missy equals and then puts Missy.count or something like that.
Good idea.
Mhm.
I like that, by the way. I've never considered using my name as a variable.
I
so
always use POI or
What's
just Z.
POI?
It's just
POI.
the top
Point
three
of
letters on the
interest?
keyboard.
oh,
Oh.
okay, yeah, gotcha, yeah.
Right hand
It's
top
like
three keyboards, just
like
put them.
like QWERTY, basically.
Yeah.
ASDF.
I like putting Missy because it's not going to show up in the code anywhere else. So if I grep for it, then it's for sure going to be whatever I put in.
That's a
Nice.
good point.
I guess all the file paths have it.
If you accidentally merge it as well, then we know who to blame.
I always put fun things in like my tests and my screenshots of UI stuff, but I don't know if anybody ever noticed, like, I don't
Oh, I
know, the
like
funny
that,
things
yeah.
I write.
No, I always get flagged for being a bit stereotypically English, and like tests are all like Dave Smith and Bob Jones, and they're like, can't you be a bit more diverse in your?
Really?
Yep.
That is so funny. All right, so we're at the buy bug. I'll just
Okay,
continue,
so
I guess, for now.
I think so, yeah. So you got 191, which is what we expected because we got that when we ran it in buy bug before. So let's add your preload in.
Okay, that should be good.
You guys need a terminal shortcut key.
What?
Terminal what?
Tabbing. Like,
So,
so I press toggle the terminal up and down. I've got like the Windows key and
nice.
enter, and it just toggles like a Quake style, like a drop down
Yeah,
terminal
yeah.
on the top of the screen.
I
Oh,
think
cool.
iTerm definitely has that. I'm
It's
sure
been-
Nick
Yeah.
was the one that suggested to me to install iTerm. I've installed it, but other than it being green instead of white, I don't really know why I use it. But yeah, I'm sure he said that was one of the cool things to have that kind of shimmy it up from the bottom.
Okay, 187.
Cool.
That's 4
Good.
less. That's good, I think. But it still passes. It's not like it failed.
Yeah, so we now need to decide exactly what we're gonna what we're going to assert, if that makes sense, and how we're going to fix this. Like, I almost feel like you should define that as a method rather than as a let, or unless you do just call exactly as you've done it there. Maybe you do just do that describe class. So copy the describe class, almost copy that entire thing up to line 246. So you basically don't use subject in either the control or Missy.
Sorry, what am I copying here? This
Sorry,
before?
no, copy 250. The line
this.
250.
Yes.
Yeah, copy. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Copy that over subject basically on line 246. So you want both of these to be doing exactly the same thing essentially.
So could I just define Missy at the top, or define? Oh, I see why you would want this as a variable. So I could do this.
So that basically, no, I just call call Missy to control and get rid of control now essentially.
Oh, got you. Got you. Okay, sorry. I was a little
That's
lost
it.
for a
So
second.
yeah, obviously just explain that
Okay.
really. But yeah, that's it. So both of them are doing exactly the same thing. Now get rid of your biobug. Maybe reintroduce your so you can keep your put. Why don't you do a puts of control.count? So we've got that for interest as well. And then reintroduce your expect subject to issue the same number of what's its.
The same as control.
But we need to. Yeah, no, actually, if you were going to do that, you'd need to copy and paste your active record blah 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 into subject, wouldn't you? Because it's
because I changed the subject.
I don't know whether to just leave that or go on, give it a.
In theory, you should just pass in the describe the class.new and stuff. You don't need the active record because subject is not the active query recorder.
Oh yeah, sorry, you're right. Yeah, thanks, Marco.
Like this.
Yes. Yep. So we're doing a bit of duplication, but I'm interested to see what the numbers are, and I think it's possible that you'll get more query. I don't know whether it should be able to do it in the same number of queries, or I feel like you might get an improvement. So instead of going from 137 to 191, it goes 137 to like 138 or something. But I don't know if it should be possible to do it in exactly the same number of.
Come on, you can do it. All green.
Okay, when it
went down?
Missy had fewer, yeah.
It went
91,
down.
187.
How did it go down?
There must be something else, surely, like could user or something like that be? It could be creating the user or the project or something. I don't know. That's what I normally do, I think. So we warm the cache up. So copy line 246 onto line 247. So basically duplicate line 246 and call flip them the other way around. So your control you want to be the second one. That's it.
Got you.
Now
warm
run
the
it
cache,
and see what
then
happens.
save the
variable.
variable.
Yeah.
Basically warm it up and then
and again, I'm sure that pattern must be described. So I've definitely used this pattern before. So I'm surprised it wasn't in the docs that you were sort of following in the first place. And we'll do our utmost to improve them as always.
Why would this make a difference? Because we're telling it to skip cache. Are we skipped cache? False.
Well, no, we're telling it
Okay.
not to skip cache. And that doesn't really matter. So basically, nothing's cached at the moment because we're running this test in isolation. So nothing exists. The user doesn't exist. The project doesn't exist. Or this is my understanding. It's probably completely wrong. But so when the
Yay.
test, there you go. So when it was like hitting the control, it was having to create the project and create the user and, you know, set everything up, I think. Whereas now,
does that mean that the test is bad? Because shouldn't the user and the project be let it be or whatever it was? So it only gets oh no, yeah, because that would still be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
possibly. Either way, I think we're at half time now.
Yeah,
And
we can switch over.
if that's okay, I hope this is enough, Missy, to just kind of send you in the right direction. And if you can find that pattern elsewhere in the code base, search for things like warm cache and, you know, that sort of thing. And I think you'll find a way to do it without repeating yourself 100 times like we've done there. And yeah, just a more well-defined approach that again we can try and add to improve those docs.
But I'm still
Amazing.
curious
Thank you so much.
why calling subject twice? The first time it does the query and the second time it does not.
So with a let, my understanding is that the first time you call a let inside of a block, it basically assigns it. Yeah, it executes it and it sort of assigns the result into the variable. The second time you call it, it's already executed and it just reuses the variable.
Yeah, so the subject is the same as a let?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, subject I think is an alias for let.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So I think it might have been just before you joined, Marco, but Andrew, if you want to share your screen to poke around. So yesterday, what we were playing with that you missed out on was looking. There's some weirdness essentially with trying to access you past project, an instance of project to something when actually it wasn't an instance of project. It was actually an instance of project presenter. And almost everything else was happy with an instance of project presenter. But this one thing wasn't. And we poked around and we kind of found a way that we didn't really need it anyway. And I think Andrew's happy that he's got a path forward, but I think he's really curious for us to do some digging and understand a bit better why it was doing what it was doing and why, you know, we were trying to do, if it's a presenter, then use presenter.subject, which again should work. Oh, no, wait a minute. Maybe presenter.project. But anyway, we've got a few options, but do you want to yeah, what do you want to do?
Yeah, okay. So this all started from these three components and moving them from individual view apps into a single combined view app. This is that single combined view app, by the way.
Okay.
Part of that is generating this gigantic single div here with all these data attributes for all the different things that are in there. That is done in the home panel now. Let me get rid of the file. Inside here, we have project buttons, which is the main div, and then we pass in a bunch of attributes. They are in the project helpers helper. And this has just been these notification settings, or everything that's in this giant data block here I've merged from all the different individual Haml templates and just created a single block.
Okay.
Notification settings is actually set in the project's controller all the way over here.
Oh.
And this is how it should be set. I would like to get rid of this because it's not needed here anymore. It's only needed for this one single component. So initially I had it here.
Okay.
And when you do that, reload the page, it's going to throw a big error and say something polymorphic relationship project presenter class. There we go. What's happening here is that there is the global app project. In the project's controller, though, before we send it off to the Haml template, it's doing a project present, which is wrapping it in this project presenter class. Everything else here that uses the project is perfectly happy with it being a presented class. But notification settings 4 on the user model.
It's expecting a project model.
Yeah, you pass in a source here, and then it calls find or initialize by and passes the source, which in this case is a presented project class. And it complains because it must be doing something like, class polymorphic name, and it doesn't know what project presenter class polymorphic name is because it's not a model.
I'm sure we tried this, but maybe not. Just try where you're calling it in the helper, doing project.project. That's it.
We tried project.subject because I think in the...
Have you had a look at the presenter?
There's project presenter, and then that was it, delegated. Yeah, so this is the initialize here, pass the subject, and then you've got at subject. So we tried subject, but
can you access the subject?
Hang on a second. Let me just... We were getting an error before, but that's because I think we had that as well. Because we were calling it from two places, and in one place it was getting the project, and in one place it was getting the project presenter.
Try reloading that. I reckon that might work. I am cheating in fairness.
It did work.
So I think you're right, and I think Marco's right. He's called out the fact that we assumed that subject was exposed, but I think subject is probably I don't know what they call it in Ruby, like a private and internal.
Because if it doesn't have the atra, I don't remember what the syntax is. That's kind of private.
Yeah, atra reader or whatever. So if we go into, what was the thing? Delegated presenter. Maybe we should. I don't know. Maybe we don't want to expose it, but I'm tempted to.
I don't think you really want to change the delegated base class.
No,
so
I wouldn't.
This is passing it up to simple delegator. Can you just have a look at simple delegator quickly?
But this is
it's not a GitLab thing. Okay, fine. Let's have a look. I'm gonna quickly see if simple delegator.
Well, you could have a look at the delegator override. That's something from GitLab.
Have a look at the what, sorry?
The delegator override on line 7. Oh, no, that's basically creating the delegator override method that's called down there. So it's delegating the can to the sub. Oh, okay. So it delegates the can, declarative policy delegate, present, and web URL to the subject.
Weirdly, I can't find the source. I would have thought it'd be really easy to find the source.
Presenter should always have access to the subject through an explicit getter defined with present, so that as the __ subject method is only intended for internal use.
Right. So basically project is the right way to access it, not subject, and that's
Yeah.
basically it, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, easy when you know how, right?
Is that this doesn't feel robust?
I don't think it's right but at the beginning it's not right because you're changing the type of the variable. Well, you're not changing it. Whoever did it is changing it because project in the beginning
here, you
a
mean?
project. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I don't feel like this is correct either.
And
It seems
same thing
odd.
goes for events, probably.
Down here.
I don't really feel like that's the right way to do it.
Anything else? Present project. Okay. Yeah, do we like should that not would that work? Or not? Probably not, would it?
No. No, because that would no, because that's preparing, it's not returning the HTML, it's preparing that variable to then be used from the render landing page method.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this was done 6 years ago, so I don't know if things have changed with how things are presented.
Or you could have a look at other add project equal add project dot present if there are any more.
Nope.
The downside of changing that is that you would need to go through all the add project and make sure that they work.
What's wrong with my projects there? There we go. MR. See, yeah, they pass it through as a different variable. MR presenter,
Yeah.
merge request present.
Yeah, that's
Label.
how I would.
Oh no, that's a README.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
sorry if I missed if you already suggested this, Andrew, but yesterday one of your considerations was what if you did it in the HAML instead?
Yeah. So actually, it was probably that README. In this README, they did say presenter usage. Oh no, presenter. Oh no, there, yeah. You can also present the model in the view, and they just do label equals label present.
Yeah,
So,
probably they didn't do it on the view because it's shared across different views.
no, this is part of the show. This is only in the show
Oh, okay.
thing.
Okay, but it's part of different HAML fragments.
But if in the oh gosh, what would it be? Project show. That, like we could just do it in here though, and then it'll still flow down to all the other ones.
That's right, but you would still have the same issue of making sure that all the places using @project would work with the actual record instead of the presenter.
But in the
Because
Haml,
I
though,
would
they would still
change-
be using the presenter.
Yeah, but I mean, you could do this, but even, I mean, I don't know if it's really worth changing something wrong, working. Lee, you're muted.
I definitely think the answer to that is no, that it's not worth
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, obviously, if we were writing this from scratch, like, we wouldn't take this approach. But I think that, yeah, trying to search out all of the references to that, I don't know what we call it, a global variable or instance, I don't know. Just for the sake of making like the code a bit more sort of readable, legible, whatever you want to call it.
To get
Can you do something like
my
that?
mind at peace. Yeah.
No, you can't.
What? Oh,
If that method doesn't exist, you can use there's a method called responds to. You could use that if you wanted, but
I think it's response with the S.
yeah, I can't remember why you wanting to do, because didn't we yesterday, Andrew, we did if it is a project presenter, or wouldn't that be a bit more deliberate and specific?
Oh, yeah. How did you do that?
So
Project
@project
dot
is
a yeah, exactly, question mark. Don't forget your question mark.
Oh, yeah. Can we
Good old Ruby. Project presenter.
Yeah. Project. And then
But
I mean, you already know that this is going to be always a project presenter.
True.
Until someone updates that controller to not pass in a presented project.
So basically no one.
I mean, I want to do that.
I also want to do that.
I feel like for the sake of adding an extra line in there, just to be safe, I don't think it's that much of an issue. Seems to be working there.
Shout out James Nutt, by the way. James
right
was the one that told me that it was project presenter dot project.
No, it's gonna. Why is this not updating?
What's it moaning about?
Oh, they're actually just doing that there. Just project. Oh, I was trying to see if I can just, if I got rid of that project assignment, if this
okay,
helper would still work.
But yeah,
but everything else breaks.
Yeah, there's likely references all over the place, ingrained, whatever you want to call it.
I feel like adding the sanity or the safety check there isn't much of an issue though. And then yeah, the components render.
Happy then, I guess. Well, other than the fact that, you know, we've identified, maybe it's worth creating an issue. Sometimes I'm maybe a bit overly pessimistic, you know, like I say, well, what's the point? It works and
Yeah.
it doesn't look great. At some point, maybe there'll be a larger refactor to view of the Haml page, in which that would be the opportunity, I guess, to do it.
Hmm.
But considering the size of the backlog, yeah, just if we create an issue,
Small
forgive me,
potatoes.
but yeah, it's just one of those things where I think like who's gonna pick it up, sort of thing, and like I'm sure all of us here would rather sort of shoo me people towards other more fun and exciting things.
Yay. We have a drop down.
Did you want to 5 minutes quickly just have a little look at what you were saying about the annoying nesting single root object thingamy-bob?
I've kind of fixed it, as you can see.
How did you fix it then? Share.
I just added in extra classes.
Oh, okay.
So
it's wrapped in a div, but you just tweak the classes a bit to.
yeah, so inside this project repo buttons, which is the whole chunk of things, there's initially, let's collapse some of this down. Initially, all of these button groups were upper level, so they're like next to this anchor, and then that made them float. Just adding on button group onto there containing divs, and things just lined up again.
Oh, okay,
I was
nice,
expecting
nice.
to have to replicate all this kind of flex stuff to make them work, but no, literally just adding a class on worked.
So,
Why
yeah, go on.
is
Okay.
it all a one whole view application?
It is now. So we have
Yeah, but the three buttons
button.
and the settings button.
These three things here are.
Oh, okay. Only those three things. Okay.
This is, I didn't realize this existed. It's still in Haml, and
I know what you'll be working on next week then, Andrew.
yeah, once this is merged in, I said I'll port that to Vue as well and add it into the application.
Legend.
What's the spacing between those buttons?
This spacing.
Yeah.
What, should it be more? I can't remember what it looks like now. Yeah.
Maybe a fraction more.
Yeah, it should be.
Good eye.
Yeah.
Wait, where is that coming from?
That's from GL Gap 3. I would say that if
These things don't have GL Gap 3 on them though.
Yes, on the div.
Oh, on there, sorry, there, yeah. Oh, that will be part of this issue then. So
if you want to change that to use the flex, it's pretty simple.
yeah, no, so this does have GL Gap 3 on, and this is what I was saying. This is part of that issue, Lee. So this anchor and this div have GL Gap 3, but because these are in a nested div, they don't get that applied properly. So yeah, so this div here will need to have what was it? GL Gap 3?
You need to use the flex.
They'll need to use, yeah.
Something just oh yeah, we talked briefly yesterday, Andrew, and I confirmed that Vue 3 does support multiple root elements in a template.
I think I sent that link on.
Oh, did you? So I was on my phone at the time. I must have missed it.
No, I sent like a bunch of messages. Yeah, Vue 3 does. They just, you don't need fragments. You can just do multiple nested ones. Multiple, what is it? Multiple root elements, whatever. Yeah, all right. I'll add that on as well then.
But now that you have the display flex, do you need the button group? Because I think that button group.
Yes, button group makes some touch as well.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
That first one won't need button group anymore, though. Yeah. Notification drop down. We can get rid of that. Yeah, because this is the problem. Like, I don't need that div there, but this has a GL drop down and a custom modal, so I can't get rid of that div, and it's annoying. And in this would be repo.
I think did I suggest this, but I take it you can't change that div to a template.
No, because there's a template outside.
Yeah.
But is it so you can't have a template inside a template?
No, it's because you cannot have multiple root items inside the template.
Yeah, but I'm saying change the div to a template. So nest a single template inside the template. I'm assuming computer says no. But...
Yeah,
but that's the same as that's basically having 3 roots inside.
And that template has 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where the React thing comes in, because you do that, and instead of doing an actual element, it will do it as a HTML comment.
Yeah.
And then that kind of gets around it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we're moving to Vue 3 pretty soon, aren't we, Lee? Right?
Nope.
I think there's been a lot of work, as far as I know, over the years. I don't know how long Vue 3's been around, but like ensuring that stuff that we're introducing now is all compliant and slowly phasing out stuff that isn't. So I mean, I think there's plans, but
there are plans, but I talked about this with Natalia not that long ago, and it's not that easy.
No, definitely not. Can you still use Vuex in Vue 3, or?
I don't think so.
So that might be that probably is a huge challenge.
That's the store thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do they use in Vue 3 then?
Well, it's just unnecessary. Well, and I've probably missed something really obvious, but Missy, if she's still around somewhere, like she'll hopefully speak to this, because she was working on a like migration of something from a REST API to a GraphQL API, and as part of that, it sort of ballooned into this kind of, oh, well, it's using Vuex, and I don't want to say nobody understands Vuex, but like definitely me looking at it as someone who's been working with Vue.js quite a long time was like, I just don't get why you have like the actions and the mutations and the store and the this and the getters and all that other stuff, when you could just put that stuff inside the Vue component, if you know what I mean. So yeah, like I think the answer is you just move it into the Vue component instead of in the 17 separate files with all these weird kind of confusing connections. Is that merged, by the way, Missy, now? Or?
Not yet. That's my next one after I get these other little ones that are almost over the finish line through. That's the next one.
No pressure.
It's
At least
close, though.
And you're delivering a lot more than like the original scope, right?
Yeah.
While we have a few minutes spare, is there a better way of doing this? So all of the existing applications have their own Vue app, and they pass in this provide. That's for the star, that's for the whichever. I'm keeping them grouped. That's for the fork, and that's for the notification.
Yes.
So in my new Vue component, I've got inject everything.
So we don't normally. Oh, they're only defaults actually. Okay. Do they need defaults? I say normally it's just a string list. I don't think
I can change that. I'm literally copying these from the existing components.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting.
So I'm copying these from the existing components because obviously this needs to pass them through as props now.
No, you don't. Inject that's the whole purpose of inject. Actually, it goes. Oh, go on. You
fantastic. Nope, that's exactly what I wanted to know.
Okay. Yep.
Because
props,
I have changed these
to pass.
Yeah.
inject goes as far as you want it. So that's pretty much the primary reason to use provide inject over props, is if you need to pass like 2 or 3 layers down and don't want to mess around with. Yeah.
Okay, because there are other places that use this notifications drop down. That's the spec. It's in the groups one somewhere. Oh no, this is using the init notification drop down, which is the file that I'm changing, which I'm going to have to do something with. Yeah, so I've changed the ones that aren't being used anywhere else into props because that feels better in some way. But this one I actually want to keep as whatever it was, inject. Yeah. And then we don't need these, do we? On injects.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I say, I'd even go further to say, I suppose if you're not always injecting them, then you do need the default values, because you will get errors if you've got an inject set up, but there is no
Nothing past
default.
Yeah. Okay, then that's perfect.
Awesome. Great session. I'm glad we managed to cover so many topics today. Thanks all for joining. Have a great day.
Thank you all for helping.